And one of the most thrilling finishes at Mount Panorama, Jamie Whincup has managed to clinch his fourth Bathurst 1000 crown, and he did it by just 0.3 of a second and with half a Coke can of petrol left in the tank. Barrett's an incredible race to mark 50 years.
Koshi, it really was, and it had to be to celebrate 50 years on the mountain. All the legends were there over the weekend, and in the telecast, we celebrated a lot of that history. All the drivers on the grid were aware of the occasion. There was a huge sense that this was a big event. A record crowd, 207,000 people there over the weekend, and the great race really delivered.
It had all the makings of a blockbuster, and in its 50th year, the Bathurst 1000 produced one of its most memorable races ever.
Will Davison gets a good start, but Paul Dumbrell has outpaced him.
But not for long. By the end of the first lap, Will Davison led the way for Ford. By lap 10, Warren Luff was diving into the pits with problems. The big issue of the day was tyre damage.
Gee, that's bad news this early in the race.
The race remained tight, with machines pushed to their limits. Drivers average 175 kilometres per hour over the 23 wild corners. One lapse of concentration can spell doom. Defending champions Garth Tander and Nick Percat felt Panorama's wrath.
What a disaster.
So did Steve Owen.
But this never looked like stopping now. Oh my God, that is so fast.
Davison went from pole position to out of contention. But it all boiled down to this, the last lap. For Jamie Whincup, the last vapours of fuel. Whincup and David Reynolds battled it out in one of the biggest thrillers Bathurst has ever seen.
Dave Reynolds right behind Whincup.
Whincup won by just 0.3 of a second. Car 1 in position 1. A fitting end to the Ford versus Holden era.
And just have a look, you just saw there, just the crowd at the podium. I've got to say that's one of the great views in Australian sport, to stand on that podium and see tens of thousands of people who've run down the mountain to be there for the final moment. It was a ripper finish. There were 5 cars in it, and out of the sky drops Craig Lowndes from nowhere, gets on the podium into 3rd spot. You know, the whole event, you couldn't have scripted it better.
That was sensational.